Hey everybody, we are live tonight. I got the Red Rooster, Waylon Fortner, and we have somebody joining us today.
That's right.
We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. Matt, I'll start off with a little current events, and then we'll dive into some good stuff. But let me introduce to you one of the folks that's joining us tonight. His name is David Snell. Mr. Snell,
Hey,
thank you for joining Rooster and Doc live, Sunday Night Live.
Yes, sir.
I love it. I love it because I'm glad to be on here this evening.
It froze up on us.
There
he is.
No, I just, like I said again, I want to thank you for both of you to invite me in. You didn't have to do it, but you did.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you.
Where are you from? See, I met David here online. I watched another show. It's called
Ryan. Live Truth Radio.
Yeah, Live Truth Radio, and he's on a lot too. So if you guys go over there and check that out, Live Truth Radio. He does a show, I think, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Yes.
He's on a lot more than we are. But anyway, and so I asked David to come on tonight because, well, as his banner says, he's a child of God.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Always will be until he calls me home.
So I'm going to start out with a couple current event things, and then we'll get into the good stuff. But
gotcha.
let me bring this up real quick. This is Jake Sullivan on ABC News.
And we are joined now by President Biden's National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan. Welcome, Mr. Sullivan, and welcome back. We know you were on that train with President Biden going in and out of Kyiv. Can you give us a sense first of what that was like? And I was told there was a special operations team on that train to help out in case anything went wrong.
Well, first, thank you for having me, Martha. We left from Washington, D.C. from a hangar at a nearby Air Force base in the middle of the night and flew to Poland, where the president got into an unmarked SUV, not his normal limo that everybody is used to seeing, to take an hour-long drive to a train station in Poland, where he boarded this train also in the dark of night. And the train had compartments to be able to work, small bunks to be able to sleep on. And of course, we had the president, a very small number of his team, including myself, and then a strong component of security. And I can't get into the specifics of who composed that security contingent, but he was well protected the whole way.
And on the F-16s, back to those F-16s, you heard what President Biden said to David Muir. He basically said he is ruling that out for now. Is it possible you'd approve them in the future?
Well, Martha, at every phase of this war, the president has tried to make sure that the Ukrainian military gets what they need. In the first phase, as they were defending Kyiv, that was Javelin anti-tank weapons and Stinger anti-air systems. And that worked. It helped Ukraine defend Kyiv. In the second phase, it was heavy artillery to help them hold against the Russians pushing in eastern Ukraine. In this phase, the critical element is ground maneuver capability, and that means tanks, armored personnel carriers, infantry fighting vehicles. And so what the president is saying is he's focused on those capabilities, and the F-16 question is a question for later.
But it's possible you could approve them later.
I mean, I can't go beyond what the president said today, which is for now, what we're focused on are the things Ukraine needs to be able to retake territory on the ground in the south and the east. And we will cross the bridge of future phases of this war when they come.
Well, just last week, Secretary Blinken told me one of the reasons you're not supplying those is because you have to teach them to fly those jets, you have to maintain those jets. So why not teach them now? So if they need them, if you want to approve it in the future, they'll have them ready to go.
From our perspective, the most important thing that we can do is make sure that we maintain focus on what is the highest priority. And honestly, Martha, the highest priority right now is to move as rapidly as possible to build up their capacity to deoccupy those portions of Ukraine that are still being occupied brutally and bloodily by Russian forces. And again, that's where the energy and the emphasis of the US military is in helping the Ukrainian military get the tools it needs to be able to carry out that mission. And we expect that that will be the central focus of the Ukrainians, as well as of our support for the Ukrainians in the weeks and months ahead.
I've heard President Zelensky say speed is so important. You talk about tanks. The administration balked sending tanks over there. And just this week, the Secretary of the Army said they may not even get those tanks this year. So how is that helpful if you don't approve them in time and get the speed to get things like that over there?
I'm glad you asked this question because I think this has been the subject of some confusion. The president originally decided against sending U.S. tanks. They're called
Abrams tanks.
Abrams tanks, M1A1 Abrams tanks. He originally decided against sending them because his military told them that they would not be useful on the battlefield in this fight. What would be useful would be German tanks, a tank called the Leopard, which many different European countries have. But the Germans told the president that they would not be prepared to send those Leopards into the fight. And those Leopards are arriving now, Martha, until the president also agreed to send Abrams. So in the interests of alliance unity and to ensure that Ukraine got what it wanted, despite the fact that the Abrams aren't the tool they need, the president said, okay, I'm going to be the leader of the free world. I will send Abrams down the road if you send Leopards now. Those Leopards are getting sent now. And this is actually an example of Joe Biden rallying the global coalition to get Ukraine what it needs.
Okay.
All right. So I'll stop it there. What do you think about arming Ukraine? What do you think about sending tanks, sending possible jets over to Ukraine? That's a huge escalation in this war. NATO providing all these weapons to Ukraine, I believe, is a huge escalation, and it could lead us into World War III. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, I see World War III all over it. I don't know why we're getting so involved, to be honest with you. I know we've already done a bunch as it is, but I mean, when do you stop? When's it enough? And I keep hearing them say that as long as it takes. That's a scary thought. As long as it takes to defend another country, and I'm wondering why when we don't even really defend our own borders. So it's the same old argument. I think we've done plenty for them, but some people are in it for the long haul. I don't think we should be putting it all in, but I think we can do a lot more with that money where we're at. So that's my opinion. But what about you, David?
Have you ever thought about who is funding these people to send weapons, tanks, etc.? I think a lot of us would know that answer. I think one is our government. I know that for certain.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably many more people that are funding them. The problem that I have, we're in a situation today in the U.S. I'm not being funny or anything, but I just feel our priorities is all messed up right now.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
That's where I'm sitting. I mean, there's probably some people out there may disagree, but that's all right. That's on them. They have to research it on their own.
Right.
That's what I'm looking at.
And they won't even answer for what they're doing, this administration. in my opinion. They won't even answer for what they're doing. There was a reporter, Savannah Hernandez, who was down or up where we're at, down here in Dayton. Whereabouts are you, David? In
Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland. So we're down here in Dayton. You're just right by East Palestine, really.
Yeah.
And there was a reporter. Her name was Savannah Hernandez. She was there when Pete Buttigieg, who's the transportation secretary, came into East Palestine, and she tried to get answers. The press secretary said, "Hey, shut your camera off. Here, I'll show you a little clip of that."
Now, before we get to the panel, I want to bring in Turning Point USA reporter Savannah Hernandez. You know her well. She is in East Palestine, Ohio. Savannah, you were there when Pete Buttigieg finally showed up. Let's have a look at what happened when you tried to talk to the transportation secretary.
Mayor Pete, why did it take you an entire 2.5 weeks to actually get here to respond to East Palestine? Will you apologize to the residents of this city for the slow response?
I'm happy to talk to you guys off
And can we
camera.
also ask too why he waited until President Donald Trump came here to actually make an appearance? This is a very important question that people across America would like to know.
I'm happy to have a conversation with you. I do not want to be on camera.
Well,
Please put your cameras away.
My name is Alexis
I'm sorry, we're on a public area, so we are allowed as press.
And you guys, I would like you guys to turn your cameras off.
Savannah, this is pretty bizarre stuff, both from Buttigieg and his press secretary. Talk us through what happened when you tried to question him.
Sure. So I made sure to be there on the scene so I could ask the questions that the American people have had for weeks. OK, this isn't just about a photo op. This isn't about, going out and Pete Buttigieg being here and caring about, residents here. It's genuinely like he is here for a photo op. That's what I meant to say. Sorry, it's been a very long day. I had to get up very early to go catch Buttigieg. But again, too, it was made me really sad to see his response, him running away from people, the fact that the residents of East Palestine have been left in the dark for the past 3 weeks, and then Buttigieg finally has the audacity to come the day after former President Donald Trump made his trip over. And then again, he runs away from me. I waited outside and, he ended up coming back out, and I questioned him again. And when he came back out, it did seem like he was ready for questions and he was prepared on what to say. But initially, he had no response. His press secretary did not want to respond. They didn't want the cameras rolling. And they even tried to get one of the security guards to shut me down. Now, for the first time ever, local police actually said, hey, she is allowed to film here. The press secretary can walk away. But how bizarre is it that we have a political official, a leader of the United States of America, who is supposed to be at the forefront of fixing this issue, running away from the cameras? Not only that, but trying to, shut down American citizens that are trying to ask questions.
All right. So that's what's happening up in East Palestine. They're not really talking to reporters. If you look at the response with Governor Mike DeWine, it's been horrible. What are you guys' thoughts on all that with East Palestine?
Oh, it's an embarrassment, really. I mean, and it's not funny, but if you wanted to make light of something, to see Trump go in there and do what he did before Buttigieg, and I'm not as big of a Trump fan as I used to be, but I thought that he had to really enjoy that, to go in before Buttigieg, give them water, give them things that they should have been doing way, way before Trump ever would have thought about going. And it was a slap in the face to them. And then Trump got a little glory out of it for being there. But
right.
The whole thing's an embarrassment.
You know what's really interesting? I saw the video when he came in Ohio, and the thought come to me, and illegitimate, administration. We can talk about that another day, but they didn't even respond. But when they heard that he was coming in Ohio,
oh yeah,
see how quick that is.
Yeah.
He did. He made them move. He made them move.
He did.
It was wild.
And I don't know if you saw a clip with J.D. Vance, because I saw him when I was at the Trump rally last year. and he just showed basically how that water looked. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that's really scaring me now, or concerning the big picture now, is a lot of animals are dying. I wouldn't be surprised if people start getting health problems, and so on. I can go on and on, and it saddens me to the point now. It's not right.
Yeah, it isn't.
Not right at all.
It isn't. All right, Mr. Snell, tell us a little bit about yourself. Let everybody know what's.
What do you like to know? Where I was born? You know.
Yeah, just give us a little overview of.
Well, I tell you what, it's just quick. I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. 2 wonderful parents who were God-fearing people. They both deceased now, but they raised me up to the Lord. And what's so crazy on the onset of that, they felt like it was so important that I needed the Lord in my life. And even a lot of the times that they didn't go to church a lot, because I know they worked a lot, but they made sure I went to church, whether it's Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday evening, prayer meeting. That's what we call it. Whatever I had to do to be involved, it was so important to them. And when I think about them now, I think about I was so blessed to have parents that really instilled that, and even my grandmother as well. I didn't want to forget her, because she played a big part in my life as well. A very big part.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have family that are all involved raising kids. That's a hard thing.
You don't see that much anymore.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. Divorce rates are up.
Yeah.
It's sad. Yeah, I know. My dad rolled out when I was 15. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it can mess with you as a kid, but make you do different stuff. Got to have a dad. Got to have a mom. That's
Matt,
for sure.
I have a question for you. If I'm not too personal, who was the person in your life that really impacted your life?
Well, I had a pretty good. There were a couple fellas out there. Actually, there are 2 that come to mind. One, his name is Lee Collins, and he passed away. He was one of my best friend's dad. He always showed the right way to do things. He put us to work. He worked at a trucking company called Fruhoff. He was like the general manager of this company, and he'd bring us in there when we were little kids and pay us like $5 an hour or whatever it was back then, and teach us a good work ethic. Then there was a fellow by the name of Bill Shepard, who ran a construction company. He was a neighbor of ours. He put me to work when I was going through some different things, and showed me the construction trade, how to build stuff, how to show up on time.
Interesting.
The basic stuff in life, show up on time, do your job, and go home. I mean, yeah.
And that's hard to find too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I meant to tell you too. I wanted to say something about my dad. He was military. For 20 years.
What branch?
Started with Navy.
Okay.
And later on, he went into the Army
That's better.
Special Operations Force.
Nice.
That was a bad dude.
Yeah.
I mean, even though he did all of that, but he was a man's man.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't find those anymore.
No,
Not
it's
really.
yeah. It's hard. Everybody wants to be soft these days. Yeah.
That's and I thank God that He instilled just be that man.
Yeah.
Just be better than he was.
So before we got on here, you were talking about what your goal is for this year and what what happened at church today. Could you go over that a little bit so folks can?
Yeah, I'll just liberate it for a little bit. I heard a message this morning, and I thought it was very powerful. My pastor's one of his associate ministers was preaching about this morning, and the question that was asked, is everything right between you and the Lord? You know, is it in line? And you know how it is. It'd be a lot of stuff going on in the world, and it's easy to get led sometimes.
Right, right.
But at the same time, we all need to be mindful at times where it's so important to get back in line with Him. And I feel like that's my goal this year, is to spread the gospel, you know, to tell others about the good news, to introduce people to Christ. I did this a couple years ago when I was doing protests with a group called Ohioans Freedom Ohio, and I got with that group about 4 years ago, and I'd be speaking about the Lord. That's why I more or less was there, for to shine the light.
Right.
And that was one of the instructions the Lord wanted me to do. And I'm still continue on doing it, even though we don't do the protests as much as we did, but I'm still involved. And I'll be going to these meetings. And I'm starting making little videos here and there, talking about the Lord, talking about what's going on. I'm on, Facebook, so I just put something on there to let people know.
What kind of protest are you into?
Well, we were fighting for things like the COVID-19. We were facing with restrictions related to that. Then it went over to the school board issues. I mean, we were all kinds. I'm just naming a few.
Right.
And yeah. And
Okay.
so we're supposed to have another class coming up next month, and it's continue on activism training. So it'll be sometime next month. But anyway, I just feel like the Lord has a calling in my life in a way where I want to continue on to be boots on the ground to tell others about the Lord and have that conversation. I'm not here to beat the word into their head. I'm just want them to be closer to Him, confess the sin.
So, are you a minister or
no?
Okay,
I'm just a messenger.
Okay.
Just a messenger.
That's pretty close. Just
a messenger.
What denomination or any?
Non-denominational. I used to be in Baptist, but I had to leave that culture. I see some stuff that's like, oh, not that good. We could talk about that another day.
Now, all my Baptist friends just got mad, but that's okay. Go ahead.
So, well, you know how it is when the Lord would kind of put you a little hint, say, hey, you need to lead that culture.
Right,
I saw stuff that it wasn't right.
Okay. Waylon, I was going to ask you, what are your thoughts on wars, rumors of wars, revelations? I know We
Well, that's
kind
a
of
lot.
touched on it last time. So
Yeah.
revelations are time of tribulation, all this stuff. What are your thoughts on that?
Are you asking me or?
Waylon.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I mean, just briefly, it's tribulation's been going on for a long time. So I know there's, without getting into major doctrine differences, there's let me get rid of this for Sister Wanda there. Um, um, many believe on a 7-year tribulation that's coming in the future. It's coming on the whole world. And I just, since you mentioned it, I'm just going to grab something real quick, which
All right.
the first chapter of Revelation, people have been going through tribulation for a long time, but even John, the one that wrote Revelation, not with an S, but Revelation, first chapter, 9th verse, he said, I, John, am also your brother and companion in tribulation and in the kingdom and patience of Jesus Christ. So when he was on the Isle of Patmos, he was going through a tribulation then. I believe there's people going through tribulation now. Matter of fact, one of my Baptist friends that Brother David was just bashing, no, I'm just playing. He said that when he did his mission work in Haiti, that just recently, um, the gentleman that, well, they set up a church there, and the gentleman that they put over the church, he was kidnapped and he was beaten just recently.
Wow.
Oh Lord.
And for what reasons, I don't know everything,
In
but they
Haiti?
wouldn't even, yeah, in Haiti.
Mm.
And in Haiti, if
Oh
you don't have a
Lord.
certain amount of money to get you in the hospital, apparently I was finding out today, you don't even get treated. So he's beat up. He can't even hardly stand up. He got a big bandage on his head. To pray for him. God knows who he is. I don't know his name, but
Mm.
he was going through tribulation. So everybody goes through something, whether it's now or whether it's futuristic. And there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. There's wars now, past, present, future. I mean, it's going to be like that till it's over with. So my viewpoint, just in a nutshell, is there's going to be tribulation, there's going to be wars and rumors of wars until the end, until the Son of God comes back. So I'm not one of those of like multiple comings of the Son of God and all these different advents. I believe the next time he comes, it's over. So, and that's a whole doctrine issue, but I believe you're going to have wars, rumors of wars, and tribulation till he comes back to judge the world. So some people think they're going to escape it and get out of it. Some people think they're going to go through it. There's all sorts of different doctrines out there. So what about David?
Oh,
Have I
me.
lost my mind? Am I close, or what's going on?
I've been hearing a lot of this stuff when I was growing up. Even my grandmother, she was really deep in the Bible. A lot of the stuff that you mentioned, you were on point. You definitely on point. So I just feel what you seeing now, those are the signs of his coming. Those are
Right.
the signs of his coming. I know that for certain because I read the Bible a lot, and I always read it cover to cover every year, or sometimes 2 years. So you have to stay on it. And one of the things that I had a good friend of mine, he was a minister. I'll never forget it. He retired now. And he said something to me, I'll never forget it. He said, it's going to come a day that you may not have a right to have a Bible. You may not have a right to worship.
Yeah.
You may not have a right to go to church. Look at a lot of I hope I'm not out of topic or anything, but look at the parts of the world. If you try to mention God, you can get stoned or killed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's places right now.
Yeah.
But I thank God that we do have an opportunity. But when I add it all up, I tell anybody in the world, don't take it for granted because we can lose it
That's
tomorrow.
right. Yeah.
Indeed.
That's exactly right.
So those are my few words on that.
So, Waylon,
Uh-oh.
what were they talking about at church with you today?
Oh, tonight?
Yeah,
Today, this
tonight.
morning, well, I go to one of them Baptist churches Brother David was talking about,
Yeah, I get it.
and
It's so great.
no, I'm just playing. And I'm not even Baptist. I think I'm like part Baptist. I'm like a hybrid. I'm part
Okay.
Church of God, part Baptist. I don't know, but anyway,
Part Catholic.
um, that I'm not.
Okay.
I
And
think you are.
we forgive Brother Matt for being Catholic. We still love him. It's
Right,
okay.
regardless.
Um, but well, tonight especially, brother was talking about if God puts a calling on you, put something on your heart to do, you need to do it because
Yeah.
we're all so good at making excuses, why not to do it. But when God does put something on your heart, you need to do it. And I think that's for everybody, whether it's a song to sing, a message to preach, offering to give, whatever it is. If God puts it on your heart, just do it,
So
and it always works out.
how do you know if God puts it on your heart and it's not just your brain saying, "Hey, we should probably do that."
Well, that's a battle sometimes. I mean, just like if God tells you to, you feel it on your heart. Like when I was just beginning to preach, they would say, "You'll know if you're called to preach." And I would ask the same question. I was like, "How do you know?" Very quickly, I couldn't keep my seat. I knew He wanted me to say something, and when I didn't, you know what would happen? It's the truth, no matter if anybody believes me or not. There's times where I knew God would give me a message, and I knew what I was going to say word for word, but I was too scared of what the people thought of me, and I didn't do it. You know what happens? Almost every time, another minister would get up and say the exact words I was going to say, and then I would feel like a big turd sitting on the bench. You know what I mean? I thought, oh no, God hates me now. I didn't do. But He'll let you know, and if you don't do it, He'll let somebody else real close to you do the very thing that He told you to do, and you begin to learn to listen. And then you can try to do too much, just like if God tells you, hey, give that person a piece of money, that homeless guy or woman or whatever, do it and don't do any more than what He told you to do. A lot of times we get caught up, we'll do something, and then we'll think, well, I want to do more. And before you know it, you're doing all this extra stuff, taking on all this responsibility, getting in people's business and trying to solve problems. And God didn't tell you to do all that. He just said, hey, give him a piece of money or maybe call this person. You know what I mean? If you're thinking about them. And I got one quick thing.
Yeah.
There's been a couple times that God has and told me. I mean, not like an audible voice, but just that on your heart heavy. Call so and so. And I put it off. I got busy, and it would come to me. Call so and so. And I thought it was weird. It was like out of place. Like, why would I do that? And then I didn't do it, and they was dead. I never did get a chance to do it.
Yeah.
Those kind of things, when it hits you like that and you don't move and that person passes away and you didn't have that last moment, whatever the case is, you don't forget it. And then next time God says, hey, why don't you call that person? Then you stop what you're doing, you get on the phone, and you give them a call. So it's little things like that.
Well, that reminds me of something. So when I was younger, my grandmother had dementia and Alzheimer's, and then she ended up in a nursing home. And when I would go to see her, she would just kind of look at me and just say, what, over and over and over. And it made me so sad because I grew up with my grandma, walking to church with her, and she would walk 2 miles to church. And if you spent the night on Saturday, Sunday morning, you're waking up, you're walking 2 miles to St. Chris, right? She lived out in Vandalia, Ohio. And so I didn't feel right about going to visit her because I felt bad. And then my dad ended up in the same situation, and I still felt bad about going to visit my dad, and I didn't go see him that much. And I regret all that to this day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's exactly where I believe God's put me today, in a nursing home, working and taking care of these people.
Whoa.
It is so weird. And I love it. I love it. And I feel so guilty that I never went to go. I mean, I went and saw my dad and my grandmother, but I didn't go as much as I wished I would have went, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And the only thing that I will say to that, I know what you're saying, Matt. I went through that with my grandmother because she was, up in age, so she had early stages of dementia coming on, and I visited her as much as I could, and there was moments where, oh man, I get emotional when I think about that. Um, she would recognize me every now and then, but it was like it was starting to fade, and I wouldn't wish that for nobody.
Yeah.
And
it's
man,
it is so rough to watch.
I just, man, I almost, it'd be times I just want to walk out for a minute, just
Yeah.
take a breather.
Yeah,
Somebody that instilled in me about the word of God
yeah,
coming to that,
Yeah.
So, but I understand what you're saying, and I've been through that. I've been through it.
Yeah.
And could I done more? Probably could, I honored it, just like the Bible said.
Right.
Honored it.
yeah. I encourage everyone to, if you're going through that situation, it's tough. It really is, but it's important to stay up on those visitations, making sure you make time. Those folks
Yeah.
may not seem to be all there to you, but they still remember things. There's times, I
Right.
work a lot with memory care
Mhm.
patients, residents, whatever, and you can talk to them. They won't understand what you're talking about, but if you play music, they'll sing right along. They remember those lyrics. There are things that they remember.
Oh,
I've, you know, oh yeah, I could go on for hours about that stuff. And it's weird how I get to go do it tomorrow, and it's not like I'm like, oh man, I got to go to work. It's like I'm allowed to go to work. This is awesome. I get to
Yeah.
take care of people, and I think it's not for everybody, because there's a lot of nurses I met who just
ooh,
they're just mean. They're and it's like, I don't know.
that's it. My mother used to. Well, she was a nurse by trade, but she also did part time of, you know, um, nursing home care for a brief in her career.
Mhm.
Um, Not easy.
No.
To me, that takes a special person to do. It really does.
It
And
does.
my mother was one of those people that, yeah, I know exactly what Matt is saying. She's, what's strange? My mother used to take me to work day where she worked in the hospital. That
Hmm.
even started till months later. That program.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
What'd you think about it?
It, you know what, really was interesting it really opened my eyes, man.
Yeah.
What she has to deal with every day, life, possibly death. We know that when you sign those papers, guess what? That's what you're going to be dealing with.
Right.
It really opened my eyes, and I had respect with what she did. I really
good.
did. And wow, Lord have mercy. I used to have people ask me, said, Dave, why did you follow your mother's footsteps? I said, man, that's not for me.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. It's not for everybody, that's for sure.
I mean, it's no disrespect, but
No. I mean, everybody has their own different things that They've, like Waylon said, they've been called to do, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, at least you took after their footsteps with church. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, what your church is it boring like Matt's services, or is it fiery, or what kind of church
Oh
services do you have?
my Lord. It's a lot of rejoicing, a lot of good
Yeah,
preaching. I go to this church. It's non-denominational. It's in Cleveland, Ohio, and it's called
yeah.
Aspen Mall Church of God. And they've been around 80, it'll be 87 years this year.
Wow.
And the senior
Wh- wh-
pastor is John Walden. He's been doing ministry almost 30 years, but he's been in Cleveland for 10.
What's the name of it again?
Aspen Mall.
Aspen.
Yeah, it's capital ASPIN I mean,
Okay.
ALL. Church
Yeah,
of God. Yeah.
that'll work.
And you know what's crazy? My mother and her sister grew up near there in Cleveland.
Okay.
Wow.
And they used to walk to school. They used to walk to school.
Wow.
And the school wasn't far from the church.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They'd been around. Yeah. And I love my pastor. I love his family. And what's so interesting, if I may say so, I never in my adult life saw a whole family to get involved. Never. I've been in many families, but this here, it don't even come close.
That's good.
That speaks volumes to me,
Yeah.
you know?
That's good.
And that's hard to see nowadays.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. Waylon, you go to your Baptist church. You guys do a lot of stuff, don't you? Around the
Yeah. Now
community and different things.
Yeah, we do that too.
yeah, the missionaries do quite a bit, and then I I actually my major thing is I church hop around, like if I get an appointment to preach or something like that. So I stay busy doing my own thing with that. But they've got like home
And
visits where they got.
you never say, "Hey, I'm going to go preach here." You come show up at this place. You never do that.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean?
Yeah, when you go preach somewhere, give me a heads up. Like, hey, I'll be here preaching.
Oh yeah, I
come
just
listen.
forget. I know. But
I
and that's
can't
what I try to do.
I
is
can't take
I,
communion with y'all, but I can
yeah.
come listen. I love fiery preaching. I love it.
Now, can you come to a foot washing? You Catholics don't foot wash, do you? Or do you? I don't
Yes,
even know.
yes.
Oh, you guys do foot washing?
Catholics
that
do it
too.
all, man. I'm telling you.
Do you sprinkle the feet, or do you actually?
Just watch the feet.
Just a little. Hey, there you go. You're good. Get out of here.
Yeah. You did, but you fully submerged, don't you, on the
Yeah.
feet at least?
Yes.
Okay.
Fully foot submerging.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what we believe
That
in.
was hilarious. I like that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
end this
good.
broadcast right now, and I'm going to find some good Catholics.
Oh, but no, I mean, that Baptist church I've actually been going to Northridge Baptist. They let me play guitar with them. Every now and then they'll even let me preach. I've been invited back, so it's kind of like, it feels like home. So far, part Baptist, still part Church of God. People hear me say that they get all tore up. Ain't it funny how if you leave one church, it's like they think you backslid because you don't go to that particular church anymore. It's
Wow.
crazy. Churches
Really?
get jealous, and they think if you're not part of them that you backslid. I mean, it's crazy.
That's wild.
Looks like David knows a little bit about that. Does that sound familiar, David?
Yeah, all too well, my friend.
Uh-huh.
All too well. And
So
you know
where do you guys? Oh, go ahead.
You know what really brought it home? I have a cousin that lives in Ohio. She lives in Oakwood Village, Ohio, which is 45 minutes away from me. And she just reminded me, regardless of what you went through at this other church that you did belong to, hurt your heart, just get up, just continue on worship the Lord. And she said, just pray on it, and you want to look for a church home. And when she said that to me, I knew then that it was confirmation to me that the Lord wanted me out of that other, church for obvious reasons, because I could see what was going on.
Right.
So, and here I am. They welcomed me to the fold
That's
at
good.
Small Church of God.
Yeah.
And I meet some amazing people from Ohio to across the United States.
That's awesome.
You got any people in Dayton
Dayton
area?
I know we got churches in Dayton area.
Do you?
Yeah, we got we belong to an organization called Christian God Mountain Assembly. They got a lot of churches all over I know the U.S.
Wait a minute. Mountain Assembly?
Yeah. Christian
Hold
God
on a
Mountain
second.
Assembly.
Is that a branch off from a church called the Union Assembly?
Something like that. I can't say for sure.
Oh, wow. We're rivals. We shouldn't even be talking right now. That's great.
Yeah.
Now, if it's the same one, and this was 70 years ago, probably the branch off, the split off. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
So the Mountain Assembly, were they out of Kentucky, or where were they
They're
out
in
of?
Jellicoe, Tennessee. Their headquarters in Jellicoe.
Jellicoe, Tennessee. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jellicoe or Tellico?
Jellicoe.
Jellicoe. Okay. If it's the same one, it was a branch off from Church of God Union Assembly, maybe around that time. Do their roots go back to Methodist or a Union Assembly? Does that sound familiar?
You know what?
We're talking.
I want to say yes, but I don't know.
Okay, we'll look into it. This is very interesting because we could be major rivals, and I love it. That's
I'm going to look
the
into
branch
it.
off.
And when we have a talk again,
Yeah,
I'll let you know.
that's great. I love that. And just to see it come full circle to where we can do stuff like this. Because see, back in the day, you get kicked out of church if you didn't believe exactly how the church believed. You'd get booted. I've got stories for you. It's crazy.
Oh, I believe you. I
yeah.
don't doubt you, bro.
Oh yeah,
I'm going
it's
to look
wild.
into it.
Yeah, do
tomorrow or next day. Because
okay.
my pastor's dad, he was a director for 10 years under that organization. He was our general overseer in Cleveland.
Okay.
Yeah, he did it.
See, notice he said general overseer. That's the same terminology that the church I was in uses. That's great. This is going to be interesting. I look forward to hearing the history of it.
Yeah,
and then we're going to have to get together when you come to Dayton, and we're going to have a little Bible study, a little coffee. You drink coffee?
No, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I'm a tea or hot chocolate coffee.
Okay, we'll do some hot cocoa. I'll drink the coffee. But no, that's cool.
Trip to Dayton.
Yeah, seriously, that'll be great. Absolutely. So, just a quick question. I know it's non-denominational technically, but yet you're under the umbrella of the Mountain Assembly, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. But you operate independently?
Oh, we still do. But they have a board of directors also.
Is there 12 of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Small world.
I love it. Yeah, very small.
Oh yeah, they're
world.
very they believe in investing in people, and they've been building.
Now, let me guess.
All over, and they cover 20 countries around the world.
Okay. Now let me guess. Are those 12 board members? Are they all men?
Yeah, the majority.
Yeah, I told you. Uh-huh.
The majority. I know that for a
No.
fact because my pastor's
Yeah.
dad was it.
Yep. Now, see, the world's going to say we're sexist bigots for that, but we know that's not the case. But that's what they're going to say
Yeah,
when the men sit on the board like that, and there ain't no high heels. They think we're
I know that. I know that for a fact. So
yeah, and the men don't wear high heels either. I bet you either, do
no.
they?
Oh no.
Uh-huh.
No.
Oh,
Hey, I think that's a good place to end it. What do you
okay.
guys think? All right. Let's
That's
keep
fine with me.
wanting more. We'll be back next week, Sunday, 9:45, Rooster and Doc
Yeah.
live. I just made a rhyme, right? That's pretty good.
Absolutely.
All right.
And I want to see David back, so we got to stay in touch, and then we got to get other people. Anybody else wants to come on? Anything in particular next week you want to get into on the biblical side, or?
I think I'm going to be real honest. We had some folks watching,
Yeah.
and we did some news stories, and I don't know if they enjoyed this. So we're going to start with this first.
Uh-oh.
Next time, and then at
Okay.
the end, if we got time, we'll do some news stories. But
Okay.
That's a
I
good
got you.
idea.
that's
Is-
my opinion.
Are there any subjects, David, that's your favorite, or something that you really gravitate to as far as doctrine or any kind of biblical subjects?
I basically like to talk about a lot. About the life of Christ, and not only that, just take a step further. He demonstrated in a way where how important baptism is so important. That's one of the things I like to talk about a lot.
Okay.
Basically about Christ's life, about baptism.
Yeah.
And one more thing I will say, and you know what's really amazing? We'll probably talk about this later on in the future. Have you ever noticed a lot of these? I'm not going to say all. You got these feel-good pastors, get all these cars, all these homes.
Yeah.
And I had a good friend of mine we had those conversations a lot. And he said, you know what's crazy? He said, Jesus didn't have those things.
Mm-mm.
He had a donkey.
Right.
He went on
Yeah.
to teach the people, heal the sick,
Yeah.
heal the blind. That's it.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm just throwing it.
No, we'll get into it. Last time I got bashed, last time I taught on baptism on one of my broadcasts, I got bashed by
I know
so
you
many
got-
people. Yeah, and a lot of people, they think it's just a spiritual baptism as soon as you believe, and it has nothing to do with water and all that. So I'm imagining with your church, the way I think it is, and their doctrine, they do believe in actual physical water baptism.
They do.
And there's a whole doctrine that goes with that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe we can hit on that. We can start out on that maybe next week and then see where it goes. So
Yeah.
I think that'll be
I
good.
just feel it's so important.
Yeah.
I think people need to hear that out there.
Yeah. And then you're going to disagree with Matt right off the bat on baptism, but that's okay because
Can we
we
still
forgive
love you,
him.
Matt?
Hey, Matt,
Hey,
wait a second. Hold on.
Look, just for you guys, I got the King James.
Hey, that's
Bible.
good.
I-
Hold on,
I'm gonna
Matt.
have to break out my New American.
You ready?
Hit me.
Let me dip my cup on my fingers in this water. Hold on.
That's sacrilegious.
No,
Oh,
this is one thing that I don't do. I don't down other people's faith. That's not my job.
right.
Will and will.
People believe what they want to believe.
Right. Right.
Woo.
I agree.
I'm just
And
saying.
here's the thing. I love fiery. I love watching Waylon. If you haven't watched the gospel message, tell them where 7 p.m. Thursday on Facebook, the gospel message, and he.
Yeah. Now, Matt, don't make fun of me. See what I mean?
I know. I know. He start clapping. Woo! Uh-oh. I just woke all the kids up there.
Uh-oh.
Anyway,
Good.
I love it.
That's
I love
what
it.
you get.
No,
Well, we'll see you Thursday night at 7 o'clock, and then next Sunday at 9. Is it still 9:45 next week, same time?
Yep, 9:45.
Yeah, that'll
Okay.
be cool. Yeah, I will redo research on that Christian God Mountain Assembly organization. I'm pretty sure I had to read it up again, but I'm pretty sure we're kind of neck to neck connection.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. Yeah, get your information. Get some last names of some old ministers. Get some roots that go all the way back to, you guys probably started around 1920.
Yeah, something like that. I had to look that up.
That's it. That's it. That's you guys. Yep, 1920. Get some last names. I need some last names of some brothers, and they'll connect. We'll connect the dots.
Oh yeah, and yeah,
Yeah.
even my pastor is pretty good about history as well. So I might ask
Okay.
him a little further
Yeah.
on that too, if need be.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, fellas. Thanks for joining.
Brother David, Brother Matt, appreciate you.
Matt.